This is Mandroid's lair, and these pieces represent all of us.
Oh, may I be the bobblehead?
Of course. Morgan, can you switch,
Nightshade's pronouns are they, them.
What?
Hello everyone, nice to see you again. I apologize for the confrontational title and video topic, by the way. I promise a video essay is still coming, and I'm actually writing it as we speak right now, but unfortunately, I found a terrible video that I feel the need to respond to. One of the video ideas I had mulling around in my head a little bit was an Earthspark themed ramble video where I gush about how amazing the show is as a Transformers fan, but when I was looking for footage on YouTube, I found this video. Manipulating kids and destroying a legacy? If you know anything about Earthspark, you know exactly what this is about.
My pronouns are they, them.
Thanks.
My personal preferred pronouns are fried chicken and collard greens.
I really wanted to give this video a fair chance because perhaps he makes a good point. Maybe it's not transphobic garbage, but come on now. Take a look at that really funny and original title.
That's what the kids call epic fail.
Quick spoiler alert, it is not. I took a quick peek at the video description to see if I could get a little more insight on his mindset. You know, just test the waters a little bit, and this guy wastes no time letting you know what he's all about. The moment the word woke is used unironically, it's over, boys. Not a single brain cell in sight. Even Donald Trump said that. So we're already not doing too great. But then I took a look at the tags and, oh God. Pick it up, lads. We're in 14-year-old 4chan territory now. If you look here, we've got Internet Idiot, the quartering.
11,000 followers earned him a blue check mark. 101,000 followers for me on Twitter, irrelevant.
A cancel culture, stop this trend. Oh, there he is, Matt Walsh. Mr. False Equivalency is my one argument. Walsh. Good to see you here, buddy.
I'm good at lying.
A little bit of background info. This man wrote an entire children's book because transgender people made him mad. Comparing trans people to little Johnny wanting to be a walrus. A grown man wrote this. A grown man wrote this book. We've played around enough. Let's just get into the meat of the video. So, simple enough start. He begins the video talking about the plot.
Every episode, although serialized, feels very episodic.
He mentions that the show feels quite episodic, which is strange because, yes, it is to agree if you completely ignore the developing plot around Mandroid and the development of the core cast entirely, but sure, episodic. This is around the point where I started to wonder if he had actually watched this show or if he played it in the background while he viciously scrolled through libs of TikTok on his Twitter. The kids may not always show the growth in their particular lesson, but they do grow as the show goes on. You see them grow into better people and more empathetic teachers. Robbie in particular is a good example because, on one hand, I can see him being lazy and dismissive sometimes as character regression, but change is something that takes time. When he's lazy and doesn't want to do chores, he learns to motivate himself through friendly competition with his Terran sibling, Twitch. And in the episode about the Walk Walk, he needs to learn to appreciate his family and his culture. These may be similar morals, but they both work to help Robbie become a better person. They are important to learn separately, but they're still important nonetheless. But again, if you go into it with the simplest of mindsets, sure, they don't grow. Premium nerds feed criticism here, everybody. But after this quote-unquote point that he makes, our friend here has a bit of a brain fart moment.
Supposedly a sequel. This show has branded itself a continuation of the original series. But trust me, you wouldn't know it if they didn't tell you.
He tries to claim that Earthspark is supposed to be a G1 sequel, but in what universe? The series makes it extremely clear that it's something entirely brand new. The G1 aesthetic is just that. An aesthetic used for an Easter egg. A stylistic choice for fun. I won't get into specifics, but if you're a fan of G1, it is extremely obvious that this is something new. And for the normal people, it's not a problem. Besides, let's be real. G1 continuity was complete gumbo anyways. So from here, he starts to talk about Megatron's character, and makes a very bad faith reading of what I at least thought was very clear intent from the writers.
Optimus and Megatron are now allies again. And although this could work, as seen in Shattered Glass, it doesn't. Instead of explaining the switch, putting in effort to make it believable, they just make it out that Megatron switches sides from the goodness of his heart because it's the right thing to do.
He claims that Megatron follows orders like a good soldier until he doesn't with no natural flow. I believe this to be incorrect. Megatron spends almost all of his screen time bickering with Optimus about his frustrations with Ghost, the government agency they work for, and how they treat the captive Decepticons.
We should part ways soon, Bumblebee. There's a Ghost checkpoint a few miles ahead. Ha! Something funny to you, Megatron.
Just that you cannot trust Ghost with the knowledge of your own scout, yet you're content to deliver every Decepticon you encounter into their hands.
He even convinces Optimus to break the rules at one point. He's very obviously remorseful for what he has to do. But he does it anyways out of respect for Optimus and tries to keep the peace with humans as best he can. It's extremely nuanced and interesting take on the character, and I'm really happy the writers were allowed to take this risky move. A move that apparently completely flew over our friend's head here.
Nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast.
Also, he says it's not a recognizable Megatron other than the design. He very clearly has the same gravitas and cockiness that evil Megs will always have. He just has a gentler side to his character now. Did you not see my man during the action scenes? He's an absolute beast who can completely annihilate you if he wants to. He's still Megs, he's just a little nicer. Here in this chapter, he claims that Optimus doesn't feel like the Prime we all know and love, because apparently he doesn't stand for anything and has no discernible morals. What show are you watching? Turn down the Tucker Carlson, you're missing it!
M&Ms will not be satisfied until every last cartoon character is deeply unappealing and totally androgynous.
This Optimus is extremely clear about how he feels. If you took a moment to stop molding and just listen to the dialogue, you'd see that there's a whole scene dedicated specifically to this.
After the war, Ghost was our best option. The only humans who gave us the space and the resources we needed to keep this planet safe. For us and you.
It's like taking a job with people you don't trust to protect your family. Maybe we have more in common than I thought.
Making a parallel between him and Dorothy Malto, the mother of our main cast. He doesn't like that he has to work for this shady corporation to capture Decepticons, but it's his best and only real option while he's trapped on Earth to keep his people safe, and to prevent tension between humanity and Cybertronians. Again, the scene literally has Optimus say this out loud, so that you don't miss it. And you missed it! And after that, Nerds Feed harps on the design a bit. I honestly couldn't care less. If I had a nickel for every single time someone complained about Optimus's lips, I could melt them down into a blade and stab myself with it. Here in this chapter, he does a little bit of complaining about RC.
Alita is beyond annoying. She's brash, rude, acts kinda like a frat boy. I wish I was kidding. She literally shows up for one episode after the first where she's introduced, and her first act is attacking Bumblebee. She then spends the entire episode insulting and degrading. I wish she was still leading a cell on Cybertron.
Which, I guess I get. If you don't like a character, that's fine. But something you may realize is that sometimes these characters change. RC is literally the #1 example for this. And I like this incarnation quite a bit, but I guess I understand if it rubs you the wrong way, but it really is mostly a you issue for not liking her. The character is written fine and stays consistent her whole episode. I mean, look at the IDW comics. Now his takes on Bumblebee are so weird.
Bumblebee has his voice in this incarnation. He acts like a kid and grumbled and groans about wanting to be a hero. He learns not to one episode and then does it again the next. I didn't like his portrayal here. The war is over between the Autobots and the Decepticons, but Bumblebee acts like he wants it to keep going because he'd look cooler. Like what? It's very against type. Obviously, they don't act like they went through the original cartoon struggles at all, nor as if they could possibly be those characters in general.
Yes, his voice is here. Yes, somewhat childish to a degree. In what way is that out of character? This is a Bumblebee who helped end the war. He's older and wiser now, and he's teaching the next generation. You say he doesn't change or improve. This is wrong. Please watch the episodes. Every new problem is just that. New. Conquering one issue doesn't eradicate the rest, bozo. We covered this. Nerds Feed. You don't grow after a lesson is made. And once again, buddy, my love, G1 is not canon. What show are you watching? From here he mentions the kids and says that they're immature and annoying, and like, yes, they're like 11, but Once again, mentions that they don't learn anything. At this point, I'm convinced you're not listening or watching. Do you need them to get together at the end of the episode and state the moral out loud?
Dear Princess Celestia, I wanted to share my thoughts with you. I didn't learn anything. I was right all along.
People adapt to life in different ways depending on how they internalize these lessons, and Earthspark is great at displaying it, but once again, ignored that apparently. But lighthearted stuff aside, at this point in the video, it's time to buckle up, boys. Let's just say Nerds Feed here goes full-on soy at this point. This man literally loses his mind and has a Minster Enter-style rant because the pronouns scared him.
On the very last episode of Transformers Earthspark, they decided to enter in that scene that was at the beginning. Before that scene, I would have continued watching in the second season just to make a video on it, just to see if it improves, to see if they learned, if their writing, if anything is better, but instead, they ruined that. Why? I know a lot of people are going to get mad at this, but why did that one scene ruin it? Because obviously, I already thought the show was bad, so why didn't I just want to stop? Well, what pushed me to finally decide that I will not watch any more episodes is the fact that it is manipulating kids.
He makes a really big deal about Nightshade presenting their preferred pronouns and claims that this is disgusting manipulation and presents a bunch of definitions on the screen for words like gaslighting and manipulation. A big gotcha tactic he heavily relies on are graphs and studies showing things like transgender diagnoses going up in recent years and percentages of the population that are trans. Common far-right talking points, and a complete mute one at that. He also, very boldly might I ask, makes this claim.
Want to put that in a show that is TV-14? Sure, it's still doing the same thing, but at least by that point, I would have had time to sit down with my kid and say, you're going to meet people with different ideas, different opinions, different perceptions, different emotions, different this, and this. I would be able to prepare them as a parent to be respectful towards people that have that idea. I wouldn't have to worry about my kid getting that implanted in their head before I can talk to them first.
Hey Nerdsfeed, you and me. Get your head out of the sand. Let's be real for a moment. Kids media will try to help prepare children for the world. Just about every cartoon in the market today, back then, and in the future is going to have morals and try to preach against prejudice. But suddenly a non-binary character shows up, and morals are a bad thing now.
It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic.
Just a warning in advance, this is where his mask comes off and Nerdsfeed has a complete transphobic meltdown. He titles the video chapter Predacon Influences. That's got to be the corniest bit of hate speech I've ever heard in my entire life.
My kids should not be concerned about pronouns, about gender identity, about sexual orientation. This stuff shouldn't pop up in kid shows. It is ridiculous. And it is something that I am so angry and so passionate about because these are kids.
Do you see what I mean? This is like his canon event or something like that. Look, Nerdsfeed, I'm going to be real with you for a minute. There is no agenda. There is no evil plan to manipulate your kids. Transgender people, queer people, people of every identity exist. Kids of those identities also exist. You can make some crazy conspiracy at the media at large wants this propaganda to convert your child, but you're wrong. The reality is that these are very real members of the LGBTQ+ community, and they are working on shows like this, and they want to be seen, and they want children to see themselves on the screen. And it's simple as that. Now, look around you, Nerdsfeed. People are being beaten. People are dying, and people are being outlawed. You want to know why gender dysphoria is on the rise? The same reason left-handedness and autism went up. We got smarter. And as a result, we started noticing things and tried to address it as a society. Now, Earthspark is one of the most inclusive, loving, positive, and important cartoons I've ever watched. In a franchise focused on the horrors of war, constantly waxing on the brutality and hatred, Earthspark goes against the grain and chooses to embrace hope. The war is over, everyone is just trying to fix everything. Instead of killing and murdering and maiming, everyone finally gets a chance to just sit down and try to make things better. Yeah, there's a villain, but he's far from the main focus. Decepticons are allowed to be inarguably good people, are allowed to discuss their views free of judgment. The next episode of Earthspark you missed, because of the wokeism that scared you so bad, these new Terrans get to live their lives and experience a world that everyone desperately wants to fix, and it's beautiful. Their personalities are embraced without judgment. They learn to be good, they learn to be themselves, and they learn that they are free, that they are important. They get to learn about themselves, explore themselves, they get to see what their alt modes mean to them. And everyone just gets to love and be loved and support and be happy and fight against people that are trying to put them down. And it's this beautiful coalition of everything that this franchise has been trying to teach us since the beginning, in this beautiful, amazing thing that these people have been allowed to make, have been allowed to create after growing up with this franchise for so long. Nightshade doesn't just get to accept who they are, they get to be embraced for it, they get to be loved for it, they get to show everyone, all these children, all these people, that they can be loved and be comfortable in their own skin. It's not propaganda, let alone anything sexual or corrupting, you louse. Transformers began life as a cynical toy commercial helmed by people with way too much passion for what they were doing, but it was tainted by the biases of this time. This is where we get something like Carbamia, but now Transformers gets to break 3 of these shackles and tell stories for people of all identities, sexualities, and cultures. Our youngest generation is embracing these characters, this world, and this very generation who grew up loving these stories now get to tell one of their own. And because of this, the show preaches things that ring true today, to speak up against oppression when you know it's wrong, to support family in need, and above all, we should love, accept, and embrace each other. And yet somehow you watched all of this. You watched all of this and only took hatred away when you saw a character accept themselves and be accepted by their peers. You had a meltdown about the evil transgender agenda. And that tells me exactly what I need to know about you, Nerdsfeed. Look, I'm not the YouTube police. You can post whatever you want, but you'll notice that that means so can I. You can make any excuse you want, whether that be the shockwave mode or just presenting your opinion, but you can't sit there and act like the victim when people you hate so much speak up. So, I'm going to take a stand, here and now. If you support these views, if you are dismissive, gender critical, transphobic, or anything that falls under that umbrella, leave. Unsubscribe. I refuse to be a safe haven for you vultures. There is too much turmoil for us to stand down and just take the abuse. I've made my statement and I'm sticking to it. You claim your channel should be a safe space for all. You'd better change that channel description to a safe space unless you are trans or non-binary. And just be honest with us. Now, based on your video description, the people you follow, and how you've replied to comments, you don't seem to take criticism very well, and it falls under disrespect. But just listen to what I say here. If there's one thing I've learned from EarthSpark, it's that second chances are possible. So if you've watched through this entire video somehow, I want you to know I genuinely hope you become a better person, Nerdsfeed. I hope you improve. I hope you can look back on this as maybe a dark time, but as a better person. But for now, I stand against your transphobia, because like Optimus Prime famously said, freedom is the right of all sentient beings. It's up to you, Nerdsfeed. You can either get better or turn the channel back to Fox News. I was once like you, Nerdsfeed. People of queer identities were frightening to me. I was also 13, so maybe there's hope for you yet. Have a wonderful day, everyone.